Welcome, everybody, to the Write Your Life ebook challenge. I don't do this often, right? But I'm super excited to do it now at the start of 2021 because we've all had like a 2020 that was crazy. And I think also it allowed some people to think about the book they want to write and just, some more ideas, but not quite get there in terms of actually writing it. And I get it, writing a book is not always the easiest thing in the world to do, but it is not rocket science. And I want to let you all know that it is absolutely 100% possible for you to get it done in 2021. So I thank you all for joining the Write Your Life ebook challenge today. There's some new faces in the group who may not know me, and I'll get to that in just a second. But first, what I want to show you is what we're going to cover, and it's going to be kind of quick. So, we're going to talk about what an ebook actually is. So, you will learn what it is and what it is not. We're going to tackle some of your ebook ideas, and this is going to be express coaching using your idea in your assignments. So, for those of you who actually did the assignments, we got 3 assignments this week. Pull those out, whether you need to pull it up in a Word document on your computer or your piece of paper or whatever you used. Go ahead and pull that out. We are then going to talk about how to boost your book's content. Okay, there's a couple of keys that are critical, necessary, and kind of stealth, but not super complicated to help boost the content of your book. And then also we'll cover some Q&A, and you can actually ask me anything specifically about writing and publishing your book. And then I'm going to share an offer with you that goes beyond today, gives you an opportunity to work one-on-one with me. Okay. So for those of you who are not familiar with me, although I think everybody who's on now is, you all know that I'm known as the author's midwife. And I have been coaching aspiring authors for 11 years. I can't believe it. I've been in business for twice that long, but I've been on the author coaching side for over a decade, and I love it. I have helped dozens of authors really realize a dream come true, because that's what it is at the core of it for most people, even when they want to use their book. Beyond just that feel good legacy lever, it's a dream come true. Just for those of you who don't know, I have a background in journalism, marketing, and PR. And from a personal standpoint, I am a nature girl, a travel enthusiast, and obviously a book nerd, a real book nerd. So now I want to jump into what exactly is an ebook. Think about this and maybe even write it down, because we can talk about this during the Q&A session. I will tell you that during the time that I've been promoting this ebook challenge, I've had a number of people either email me or text me or send me messages on LinkedIn to say, "Hey, Anita, I've got an idea for an ebook." And so my question to them was, well, what is an ebook? What do you mean by an ebook? You have an idea for an ebook. And it's almost like it's this whole separate thing aside from something else, right? So it's almost like somebody saying to me, I want to purchase a car, a vehicle. And instead of them just saying, I want to generically buy a car, they get very, very specific about the type of car that they want to buy. That's kind of the same as when people say, I want to write an ebook. That's not what they mean, but that's what I'm thinking. What kind of book? What do you mean by an ebook? So for the most part, when people say they want to write an ebook, when they specifically say, I want to write an ebook, what they really mean is they just want to do like a little PDF, right? I just want to write something that becomes a PDF that people can access from online, right? From my website or something. And usually that looks like some sort of opt-in gift or a lead generator, right? They want to boost their subscriber list, their email subscriber list. I totally get that. Or they want to write something they consider, oh, just like a little booklet, a little ebook booklet thing, or something that's a printable, right? Something that anyone who engages with it can just print out and maybe stick it in a 3-ring binder. And that's what they mean by, I want to write an ebook. And to me, that really kind of like minimalizes, it marginalizes what a book actually is. So, what is an ebook? Essentially, an ebook is one of many possible versions of your actual book. Like, and I put this in quotation marks, a real book. It's a real book. It's not just a printable. It's not just a simple little PDF thing that somebody can download. That's a PDF. That is a lead generator. So when you have on your website, that people can opt into your list and they can download your free thingy. That's your PDF, right? It's 5 to 10 pages, maybe for some people. It probably should be shorter than that. But that's a lead generator. That's an opt in. Your actual ebook is one version of a real book that can take many other formats as well. So we're familiar with some of these. You've got your book in the middle there. It can be the format of a hardcover book, which is essentially a full length book that is printed with a hardcover, right? It either has a dust jacket or it doesn't, but that's a hardcover book. That's one version, one possible version of your book. Your book could also be a paperback book. Wow, a full length book that's printed with a paperback cover or a soft cover. We all have those. It could also be an audio book. This is your same book, but it is made available in an audio format, right? I can listen to it, right? We all like Audible. It can also be your very same book can be available as an ebook, right? It's the digital format in it that your book will take that someone could read it with an e-reader, your Kindle, their Nook, that kind of thing. So I hope that makes sense. Your ebook is one version of your actual book. You could also have it available in hardcover, paperback, audiobook, or ebook. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So an ebook is not some separate thing. It is a version of your actual book. Okay. So, my question then is when I ask people, what do you mean by an ebook? When they say, oh, Anita, I want to write an ebook. What do you mean by an ebook is question number one. My second question is, why do you think an ebook is the best version of your book? Why do you think that? So, number of questions. Maybe you can write down what your answer is. Here's some of the answers that I get. One is that it's easier to write, right? Some people think, oh, it's so much easier to just write an ebook. The content isn't as complicated. Readers expect less in depth content, right, from an ebook. That's what people assume. The next answer I might get is that they figure it's a shorter book, right? So with an ebook, I don't have to write as much content, right? There's less content to write. And besides, people are reading shorter books anyway these days. That's what we convince ourselves, right? Then ask Barack Obama about that. His book, I think his recent book is like 450 pages long, right? Some people also think that an ebook is more accessible than a physical book, right? It's easier and quicker for buyers to buy. And then the fourth reason that people say an ebook is best is because they say it's cheaper. It's cheaper to produce, less costly to produce, and less costly for readers to purchase. So, my take on these reasons why an ebook is best is first and foremost the two at the top. The fact that it's easier, or the suggestion that an ebook is easier to write, I call BS on that because it's not. Remember that your ebook is a digital version of your actual book. So it has the exact same content in it, the same amount of words that your physical book has. So an ebook is not necessarily easier to write, although I would submit that any book is not as hard to write as you think it is. Also, it's not shorter. Again, it's the same content. It's the exact same content. You don't have a hardcover book, for example, that's 200 pages, and then an ebook that's 50 pages. It doesn't work that way. Or a paperback book that is 30,000 words, and then your ebook is only 10,000 words. That's not the same thing. Those are not the same animal, quite frankly. So it's not that an ebook is easier to write or that it is shorter than a regular book. What is true, however, is that an ebook is more accessible typically than a physical book. Because actually, I could just pick up my Kindle or my phone and just with one or two taps actually have access to your book. It's right there. Tap, tap, boom, I'm done, and I can read your book. So that is true. And then the second thing that is true is that it is less costly for a reader to purchase your ebook. Ebooks typically are the price point of them is lower than a physical book, and it may be less costly for you to actually produce an ebook, not because you don't need a cover, because you do. You also need to have it laid out. So that's an investment you need to make also, but you don't have to deal with printing costs. Okay. And even in this day and age of print on demand, even that's not that big of an issue, and I won't get into that, but trust me, it can be less expensive, but not that much. Okay, so that kind of blows out of the water these reasons why we think an ebook is better than an actual physical book. Okay, we can talk about some of these things in the Q&A session, but for now I want to deal with your book ideas. So I want those of you who have done the homework, who've done the work, to share with me. I want you to get on screen if you have done the homework, and we're going to do some express coaching right now. Okay. So I would like to hear from those of you. I want you to get on camera and literally raise your hand if you have done your homework. And I want to just kind of coach you. Susan, go right ahead. And I'm going to take Susan and then Ruth Ann and then Patricia. So everybody else stay muted. Susan, go right ahead. Give me your assignment number one was for you to describe your book idea in about a paragraph. And I want you to share that. And then I want you to give me those 5 to 8 key points that you listed in assignment number two. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Okay. Anita, I'm so thrilled to be here, by the way. Thank
I'm
you.
glad you're here.
Ah, so exciting. All right. So, my book is about um, my story pointing to my faith. So,
So it's a memoir.
excuse me.
It's a memoir.
Yeah, I wrote down that it's a memoir, self-help, inspirational, instructional.
Okay. So read me everything that you wrote. Just straight read the description.
Okay. Okay, it's kind of long, but because
It should be a
anyway.
paragraph.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to get into that because I went around it.
So everybody else pay attention as she pulls this together. I want you to be ready with your book description and your 5 to 8 key points. Go ahead,
Okay,
Susan.
thank you very much. Um, being elected by God, desire for change, He places that on my heart. With that as the premise of the book, here's how I felt the call and what I did each time to answer the call. My story shows how God was always there for me and how I always reached out to Him.
Okay, good. What are your 5 to 8 key points you want to cover? Just boom, boom, boom. Just list them.
Moved to Seattle, switching careers, drawn to love, clarity to work on the east side, marriage and family, big lessons here, coaching vocation.
Fantastic. Okay, did everybody hear that? She's clear about this structure. So what she's talking about is structure. She has a description of her book. This is essentially the theme or the topic of the book, overarching theme, and then she has about 5 to 8 key points that she wants to cover in this book. So, Susan, the way you beef up this book and make it enough that it is not just what you would consider an ebook, your little PDF downloadable booklet thing, that it is really meaty and juicy, is that I want you to give me an opening, right? So every story has a backstory, right? So you didn't just wake up one day and you awesomely had this relationship with God. You had to get there. So I want to know what happened before. I want to know your journey to get there, which is probably all those 5 to 8 key points. And
Mhm.
then I need to know what I, as the reader, should take away. So whether you're instructing me in each of those, let's look at those 5 to 8 key points as chapters, right? Maybe you're instructing me in each of those, and you
Okay.
want to give me the lesson you learned, Then you want to give me some steps that I can take,
Mhm.
right? And then maybe you want to give me some questions that I should ask. All of that is additional content for your book. So you don't just list a bunch of questions, you're going to write some stuff about these questions. Like these are the things that I journaled in my journal when I was going through this. And these were questions that I asked myself. Here's the question you can ask yourself. Here's why you explain to the reader why you should ask this question. And then again, you're going to talk about the lesson you learned. In each, also, one of the great ways to beef up your content with those 5 to 8 key points is to tell a story. It is all about story. What's your story? So give me the first key point that you mentioned.
Thank you. Move to Seattle.
Move to Seattle. Okay, that's really generic, and you're going to come up with some attractive title for that chapter. But essentially, you're going to tell me a story. I want to know why you moved to Seattle. Why'd you pick Seattle? Why did you move when you moved? Was there a job? How did you feel? So the thing about writing memoir especially is emotion. I'm working
Map
with
it
an
up. It's all there.
It's all there. You got it, huh? I'm working with a client right now who's writing a sort of leadership business memoir. We were going over some of his content just yesterday, and he was reading it out loud to me. And he started cracking up during this. It's a paragraph that is super descriptive. And he started laughing. He was like, oh my gosh, that was me back then.
Mhm.
And I said to him, because you have that reaction to that paragraph, it really was funny. I said, when you stand before an audience, he's also a speaker. When you stand before an audience and you want to warm them up, you want to warm yourself up and get them laughing, read that paragraph,
Mhm.
because that's the very same emotional reaction you have to that paragraph, they will have it guaranteed. Okay. So you
Yeah.
want to bring out some emotion in the story. Don't just tell me what happened, right? There's a
Mhm.
common phrase in literature, in writing, mostly in fiction: show, don't tell. Show me what happened. Don't just tell me I moved to Seattle, right? Okay, whoop de doo, I moved to Atlanta. So what? Tell me
Mhm.
why you moved there. What were you feeling? Who was with you? What did it look like the day you arrived? What motivated you to do that? Did you cry along the way? Did you lose something? Explain those kinds of things to me. And when you do that with each of those chapters, each of those 5 to 8 main points, main stories, bring out the emotion, tell me what led to it, and guide me as the reader through that experience. You've got the makings of a great book. Okay.
Thank you, Anita.
So keep that in mind. You are welcome. Ruth Ann, unmute yourself and tell me what you got.
Okay, so mine is a different kind of book than that. And I'm just a working title I just started with. It's just in order to be able to introduce the paragraph. Jewish Journeys to America, Personal Family Stories is a collection of personal stories that tell of the many places that Jews have traveled from to the United States, whether it was last year, last century, or hundreds of years ago. It shares the diversity of experiences and how these cultures influence their practice of Judaism, the Jewish foods they ate, the way they celebrated holidays, etc., beyond the common story of the Eastern European Jews coming to Ellis Island. So it's really to expand the not just the perception, but the understanding of Jewish culture is way more than we think.
Very good. I love that. Give me your 5 to 8 key points.
I wrote, Jews have lived in all corners of the world. Rituals, traditions, recipes have been influenced by where they lived. What has caused or influenced Jews in general, and the specific individual families, more specifically, to come to the US. I talk about normalcy, which is that Eastern European kind of what we often think of. Entry into the US, all the places they came to the US, New York, Charleston, Galveston, Miami, different the ways they entered. And that the stories are part cultural geography and part personal family history.
I love this concept. The first thing that's coming to my mind is the timeliness of it. Unfortunately, in American society, but probably across the world still too, there's way just so much anti-Semitism, it's ridiculous. And it's bred from people not understanding. We don't understand, we don't know. And so I feel like this is a gift to society to inform people and educate them about Jewish culture, right? Things we don't know, historical, cultural, and even into the contemporary. So this is a wonderful educational topic that I hope you will infuse. I would love to hear in your introduction in terms of the motivation for you writing this book.
Okay.
I would advise you to touch a little bit on the events of 2020.
Oh,
And,
okay.
as we roll into this, and I would almost encourage everybody who's thinking about writing a book. I've told all my clients who published in 2020 and 2021, we cannot publish with that on the copyright page without mentioning either COVID or, it doesn't necessarily have to be Black Lives Matter, but the racial discourse
Right.
and just the
Everything Discord, right?
ah, you can't publish in 2020 or 2021 and not mention those things, and probably into 2022. So I think it's timely. It's a timely topic. And so I would want you to address a little bit of that. You don't have to touch on it. That might not be the primary motivator for you to write this book, but touch on some of the issues.
Right,
It is not new, anti-Semitism, right?
right,
Unfortunately.
right.
And that's probably why you're writing this book. We need to understand and be educated. And so I do want to know some of your backstory. Again, same thing with Susan. Give me
Mhm.
some backstory. What are you bringing to the table? It's way different for you to write this book than for me to write it, right?
Right.
And so I need to know that. I need to know that you have some rich history and some cultural connection to this topic. And then again, of course, the stories. I would say one way you could beef up the content when we talk about story is all the stories don't always have to be yours.
Right, right. No, it's intended not to be actually. It's to interview the families themselves.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. And so you want to think about how you're going to write those. So writing is a process, and Patricia is up next. I think we're going to take a quick break before we get to you, Patricia. Writing is a process, and chapter by chapter can be even more of a process just to get to the end. I would recommend that you come up with some kind of formula. And this is something that I coach my clients to do. When you look at each of your chapters, think about a formula. What content do I want to include in every single chapter?
Mm.
And so maybe you say, I want to open with a story, a short story. Then I want to introduce the topic, right? Whether it's the foods or the geography, right? Or some historical something. And then I want to profile 3 different people who relate to this particular topic, right? So these are going to be sort of vignettes in each chapter.
Each chapter,
And
okay.
then I want to, what could come next? I don't know, give a historical perspective on that topic. And then I want to charge the reader with something,
Mm.
right? Give them something to do.
Mhm.
So whatever that may be, go visit a mosque or go whatever, talk to a Jewish friend of yours, whatever. So that's like your 5-point chapter writing formula.
Okay.
And every chapter is written the same way. Start with a story, introduce the topic, profile 3 people. I forgot whatever I just said. Okay. So you structure each one. That's why you're taking notes, and that's why this is recorded. So the thing is, a lot of times authors think that that's boring to write, which it is not. And they also think that their readers are going to figure it out. Oh, they're going to figure it out. They're going to it's going to be like rote to them and la, la, la. They're not, most of the time, they're not going to figure it out. The ones who do figure it out will absolutely appreciate it.
You mean the pattern? You mean?
The pattern, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you think you've been found out by the reader. Oh, they figured out my structure. Trust me, readers love, just like human beings, we like to know what to
To
expect.
expect, yeah. Mhm.
And so having that pattern, then they already know, oh my gosh, there's going to be 3 cool stories about the geography in these different places that, we find large populations of Jewish communities. Oh, I can't wait to read la 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 la, right? So one, it makes it easier for you to write. And two, it makes it much more engaging for your reader to follow through because they're
Right.
looking for that makes it a page turner. What stories is she going to tell next? Okay. All right. So we're going to come back. I hope that helps you.
Yes.
We're going to come back and do a few more of these. Patricia, I know you're next. Let me look at my full screen with gallery. Anybody else? Okay, Nicholas is raising his hand. So we're going to come back to Patricia, Nicholas, and Dr. Denise. I see you driving. Keep your eyes on the road. Okay. So I want to get back over to our teach. And so that was some good ideas. You guys think about the other ones that you have. What I want to do is share with you, this is essentially what we do in Virtual VIP Day. Virtual VIP Day is something that I absolutely love to do with my clients. It is you and me one-on-one. These days on Zoom. I've done these in person in the past, but thanks to COVID and all that good stuff, we do them on digitally on virtual. So essentially, VIP Day is you and me, specifically focusing on your book to crank it out and get you going with what's next. VIP Day is a full day one-on-one interactive virtual workday, and you can expect to get some deep insights into what your book is about. All about laying the foundation for your book. I schedule a couple of these a month. Okay, so it's not something I do every day because it's intense. I've had clients get to the end of the day and go, oh my God, I'm so tired. Or they'll say, this was like therapy for me. And it really is because we get deep. So we get into the purpose of the book for you, the purpose of the book for your reader. We get into the anticipated outcomes. What do you expect to get from your book? Like, why are you even writing this book? And these are questions that people don't often ask themselves. So I go deep. I'm getting real surface on it right here, but we go really, really deep into what you expect on the other end of the book. Because if you don't have some expectations, then either anything will do or nothing will satisfy you. And I don't want either of those outcomes. We get super duper clear on who you're writing for. Who's your ideal reader? Who's your target reader? You need to know who that is at the start because that influences every word you write in your manuscript. You also get answers to all your questions about book writing and book publishing. You get to understand what the process is. You get a publishing schedule, right? So you know what comes first, what comes next, what comes last. So you don't do things out of order and end up wasting time and money. And you also get a list of my publishing team. So these are people that I work with all the time. You get their name, their contact information, all of that, because what I don't want you to do is leave VIP Day and then have to figure out, now, how do I make my manuscript a book? I guess I'll Google it. And then you don't know who to trust. So you get to trust my preferred publishing folks. Okay. You actually also get to develop some content. So during VIP Day, we work through that framework, right? So we take the description, right, that you've created from your assignment. We take those 5 to 8 key points and we really structure your book from that. We develop some stories. At the end of VIP Day, you get an audio recording and a transcript. And so what you might be surprised to know is that you're actually developing content that you could simply copy and paste into your Word document for your working manuscript. I had a client do this last year and we ended up with over 10,000 words, right, for his manuscript. And I challenge my clients to get to 30,000. So he had a third of his book written in a day. That is amazing. And then, of course, we cover the strategy of the book because I like to focus. One of my superpowers is helping clients focus on the leveraging part. How are you going to leverage this book? What do you do with it? How's it going to make you like blow up, right? Which is what most people want, or at least satisfy that desire in you that you've already, that dream come true, right? So we talk about how to use your book to get clients, speaking, visibility, credibility, how to boost your revenue, whatever it is you decide you want. We talk about how to repurpose that content. And then we talk about something called content seeding, which I won't go into, but it's super duper valuable. So that's some of the stuff we cover in VIP Day. I am offering everybody who signed up for this ebook challenge the opportunity to take advantage of. I have 2 spots in February for a VIP day and 2 spots in March for a VIP day. And I'm telling you, February is so crunchy. I can't even believe I'm leaving 2 spots open. But there's 2 spaces in February, 2 spaces in March. VIP day is just $3,500. It is a full day. I mean, it's literally 8 hours with me. We take breaks, I promise you. You'll be worn out by the end of the day, but we do take some breaks. You'll get a lot of work done and a lot of content developed in VIP day. The thing is, I'm taking applications for VIP day through February 10th. Because I mean, essentially, that's half the month booked, and I already have 2 VIP days scheduled for this month. So through February 10th, you need to get your application in. That link is down there at the bottom of the page, but for those who have signed up, you will get an email with this information. So don't panic and try to, get it all in, but you do need to get your application in. And stay tuned to the end because I'm going to give you a little something special about those applications. But that's virtual VIP day with me. 2 spaces in February, 2 spaces in March, and you will thank yourself for doing this. It is quite beneficial for you in terms of the investment. So we do more of this in VIP day, and we're actually going to do some more Q&A stuff, some more awesome um, ebook ideas. And I know that Miss Patricia has more than just an ebook idea. So do tell, my dear.
All right, all right. You're forcing my hand. I will tell you.
So for those of you, you may not know, Patricia Stallworth is a serial author. Minding Your Money is one of her books that is over her shoulder there, and she has multiple books. So I know she knows this process, but I'm dying to hear what this new book idea is. Go ahead, girl.
Okay. Well, the new idea is something that I'm really focusing on now, and I do have a working title because I have to have that in order to get started. The working title is Rock Financial Independence: 7 Steps to Build a Pathway at Any Age.
Ooh.
So, and this book is all about identifying your wildest dreams and then going after them. Unlike building wealth or retirement, which sometimes seems like far off or vague goals, striving for financial independence can be clear and purposeful, regardless of your age or current financial situation. There are as many definitions of financial independence as there are people, and this book takes the reader on a journey that starts where you are and leads them through all the stages to reach their final goal or their definition of financial independence. It's never too early, it's never too late to go after your dreams. So pick up a copy and let's get started.
Can y'all tell she's a writer? She's done this before. I love it. I love it. I'm feeling like it's a workbook.
It is a combination of, yes, it's going to have exercises in it.
Okay.
And at the end of each chapter, there's action items for you to actually do. So that when you finish this, you actually have your plan to go after financial independence.
Once again, a very timely topic because we have heard of so many people both struggling during this time, but also doing really well, right?
Yeah.
I know y'all have kept up with some of the financial news of the last week or so. So there are I mean, it's like the polar opposites are amazing these days. And so it sounds like, Patricia, you want to get people on the side of doing well and not being afraid of the future.
Absolutely.
So what are your five to eight key points?
Okay, I've got steps. And so step 0 is before you start, commit to the journey. Step 1 is where are you now? Step 2 is where do you want to go? Step 3 is identify the gaps you need to fill and create a plan to fill them. Step 4 is invest, create a snowball effect. Step 5 is to protect your interest. Step 6 is elements of a retirement plan. And step 7 is craft a tracking system to stay on track.
Love it. Okay, so I'm gonna ask a couple of questions, I think. So we all know that there's hundreds of financial books out there. Hundreds of financial books that'll tell you all kinds of whatever, how to retire and how to get rich and all of that kind of stuff. So I would love to see, so this is not a question. I would love to see your book because I know you have a very interesting story yourself. And I don't remember if you tell that story in your other book.
I told it in Minding Your Money. Yeah.
Okay. So I want that again because
Okay.
it's an interesting story and it positions you as someone who's like me, the reader,
Okay.
right? I think one of the things that some of the financial books miss is that they place the author on a pedestal. When you're talking about money, you need to be approachable. And if I feel like you came out of the womb as a gazillionaire, then I can't relate to you.
Yeah.
I need to know that you had some struggles. Not that you just totally blew everything out of the water, but just that you know what it's like to not have or to be working towards building your wealth or your retirement or whatever. I think it would be also interesting for you to add some stories of other people. So take the time to interview some of your previous clients and ask, with a release form, of course, if you can use their stories. Even if you need to change the name, it's fine. But it will be kind of interesting to hear stories of other people who are at whatever phase that chapter is talking about, right? Someone who had to start from scratch to start building their nest egg, their retirement nest egg. I think too, this is another topic that would certainly benefit again from talking about current events.
Mhm.
So definitely do that. And then think about that chapter writing formula, right? That structure of what does each chapter look like? Maybe you start with introducing the topic. Then you talk about, why so many people miss on this point. Like, how do they miss out on saving, right? And why maybe our society is not designed for people to really, save the most. And then maybe you give me a couple of stories, and then maybe you end each chapter with your story. Maybe you don't open with your story like Ruth Ann would do, right? So that could be a chapter writing formula for you, right? Any questions?
No, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Who was next? Let me get my gallery going here. Okay,
Hi,
Nicholas. Hey,
Nita.
Nicholas, how you doing?
Hi, Nita. Greetings, friends. How are you? Good to see you. Here with my partner, co-collaborator, Milton Eric Fletcher,
Yes.
and we want to write a book on cultural competency and coaching. So by way of our homework, Cultural Competency and Coaching, How to Develop It and How to Use It, is an introductory book to the Cultural Competency and Coaching Framework. Co-authors Fletcher and Harvey address the need, the development, and the practical applications of the framework so that leaders, managers, and coaches can engage more effectively in our multicultural world. Readers also can evaluate their own cultural competence and develop their own growth plans.
Cultural competence. Okay, give me your 5 to 8 topics.
What is cultural competency and coaching? Why should I care about cultural competency and coaching? What does cultural competency and coaching look like? What is your level of cultural intelligence and cultural competency? And how do you grow your cultural competency and coaching?
So I love that. It sounds like there's a little bit of maybe a quiz or some kind of work that they need to do within this book. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
Anita,
So, yes.
if I could just comment, the term cultural competency in coaching is one that we created. You hear often cultural competency, but as coaches, we want to approach it from the standpoint of how does it show up in coaching. So I just want to make that point.
That is good. That is good. So I would want you to open up. So and maybe it's just me, but this concept of cultural competency is new to me.
Mhm.
May not be new to your ideal reader. We're not going to get into ideal reader right now, but you think about who your most likely reader is. Do they know what this means? Right. And even if you think they do, they need to have your definition, your spin, your background, your insight on what cultural competency means from a coaching perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would want you to open with an introduction that talks not only about the concept, but also about who you are. Who are you guys anyway to be talking about this? Right. So you need to, in this type of book, I believe, establish Um, Denise said, I'm your ideal reader. I'd buy that book.
Hmm.
You need to establish your credibility.
Yes.
Okay. Um, and I'm talking a lot. I've mentioned this word with a couple of people's express coaching, this concept of an introduction. So I'm going to take a minute just to tell you that some people have issue with the introduction of a book. Um, I have heard people say, what's the point of an introduction? I just skip over that altogether,
Hmm.
right? I want to get into the meat of the book. Like I just go straight to chapter one. So I would advise you to think about whether you need, like we've typically thought about an introduction as the warm up, right? Sometimes it does set the stage and it does offer the credibility of the author. Who am I to be writing this book? Who am I writing it for? What you can expect to get out of it, right? And so that is helpful in some books, but not all books. If you start with a super strong chapter one, you don't even need an introduction because maybe your chapter one covers those things, right? Maybe your back cover text tells your ideal reader that this book is for them, right? So you don't even have to talk about that in the introduction. Give them the meat, like let them jump in there and get it, right? People want to get in there and get out and go do it, right? So think about whether you actually need an introduction or if you can cover those very key points of establishing your credibility, letting me know as the reader that this book is for me, and then letting me know what to expect from the book. You can cover those either in a chapter one or on your back cover text. That's something else that I cover in VIP Day in terms of how readers typically engage with a book and why certain types of content and where it falls is important. Okay, so I just wanted to state that. But you definitely need to provide the reader with your definition of cultural competency and how it specifically relates to coaching. And then what type of coaching? Then you want to explain the different types of coaching that it's most likely to fit into. Is it every kind of coaching? Is it just for executive coaching? Is it for leadership coaching? What does it mean? Right. So I'm not asking you that question right now, but I would suggest that you could spend some time really delving into that. So you could break that down by different types of coaching or different categories of coaching, so to speak. So that's one way. Same for you. Tell me some stories. Our brains are hardwired to connect to story. That's just, think about you read nighttime stories to your kids and they love it, right? That's the stuff we remember, our favorite bedtime story. So tell me a story. Now, this is not the warm and fuzzy, softy stuff that's going to make me cry, but this is illustrative stories where either you've had clients in the past to apply your concept, people who didn't do it the way you teach it and could have benefited therefore, right? Or something like that. Like, take me on a journey. Let me see what it looks like to actually use this concept. So, Nicholas, tell me again, or Milton, since you're off mute, um, tell me again what those 5 keys are. Those 5 to 8 chapter main points.
Sure. What is cultural competency and coaching? Why should I care about cultural competency and
That's 2
coaching?
different things.
Yeah. So the first is, what is
What
it?
it is and why should I care?
2 is, why should I care?
Okay. That sounds like they go together.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how much you can say about what it is. I mean, I think it would be great. But I'm not sure that why should I care is completely separate. Consider combining those two, because I think those questions go together. I mean, the answers to them, I think, are typically asked at the same time. What is it and why should I care? Like, how does it affect me? Okay, what's number 3?
Um, what does it look like?
Okay. So here's where you're giving me examples.
Yes.
So maybe it's your best practice. This is how it's supposed to be done. You're giving me like the basic framework for cultural competency in coaching. And then maybe you want to give me some case stories, right? So you know how a case study is written, turn it into a story, right? And that's something we can talk about in VIP Day. What are the elements of a case study and how do we turn that into a story? right? So we talk about the overview and the background and the problem and the solution and la la la, right? So that's fine and very structured if you were writing a report and whatever, but you're writing a book. So I want to know the story. I want some characters. I want some scene. Give me some dialogue. Set it up for me. Tell me what the mistakes were. And, don't just feed it to me like ABC, but just let me, as your reader, as your ideal reader, hopefully, who's also your ideal client, walk me through what you know about this. Speaking of that whole ideal reader, ideal client thing, I think for you guys in particular, you think about who you want to read this book and what they should do next, because probably what you want them to do next is to call you and say, hey, we need you guys to work it out for us, right? So you need to lead those readers to actually have that aha moment, hopefully before they're even finished reading your book.
Mhm.
Okay. So here's where you're going to develop some stories. What's number 4?
What's your level of cultural intelligence and cultural competency?
Okay, so that's a good question to ask, but into this chapter, you need to tell me what the levels are. I don't know what my level is because I don't even know what the levels are. Right? So you're going to lay those out and define and describe each of those levels, and do it in language that I can understand. Because remember, I'm coming to this book just now learning. I might have heard of the concept of cultural competency, but I'm learning about it from you. So now you're going to give me the 12 levels or 5 levels or whatever it is, but describe them explicitly and in regular language, not in lingo. Okay. Let me know what they are. And then maybe you ask me, what's your level? Now, I'm going to give y'all a little bit of insight. I mentioned when I talked about VIP Day, we talk about content seeding. Here's a great seed for you to plant in your book, is that you're going to give me a quiz. You're actually going to give me a link to a quiz. That link's going to take me to your website, where I've got to give you my name and my email address. And now I'm on your list, but I get a chance to take the coach's cultural competency quiz. Ooh, right? So you have my name and my email address. I get to take the quiz. There's all these quiz things online, just Google it. And I get a score. And then whatever the thing tells me, my basic cultural, or you may have something, I don't know, maybe you already have something, that's what your thing is. So I access that through the link in the book. And you know that the people who are building or who are coming onto that list only got that link because they read your book. That's something else we get into in VIP Day. So those are some of the things you can do. If you want to even expand that section, you can talk about, what those scores mean. So let's say it's a score of 1 to 20, and you know that your quiz essentially gives people a score between 1 and 5. And in the book, you can detail, organizations that score between 1 and 5 need blah, 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 blah. They're lacking da, 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 or they da, 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 da. The ones who go from 6 to 10, da, 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 da. Like you can explain all of that in the book. That's deep, rich content. So already I've read the different levels. I understand those. Now I'm curious, you've asked me the question, what level are you? I'm going to go take the quiz. Then I want to come back to the book and find out, where does that fall, right? We love quizzes. We love to compare ourselves to other people. And you're bringing the credibility to say, we know what that looks like. Good?
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So next we've got Dr. Denise. You still hanging out with us?
Yes, I am. And just to be clear, I'm the passenger. I'm not driving.
Oh, okay. I just saw a seatbelt and I was like,
Right.
oh. Hello, Dr. Denise.
Hello.
What is your book idea?
All right. My book idea is Scalability Accelerated, a guidebook for taking your coaching business to the next level. Is a handbook for coaches and consultants seeking to scale their successful business so they can attract, convert, and serve more clients with excellence and with less work. Each chapter provides specific action steps the reader can take to use systemization, delegation, and automation to advance to the next level in their business, all while freeing up their time and energy.
I love it. And I've just got to give a quick plug for Dr. Denise because She is a phenomenal team member of mine who actually helped set up the automation for this entire Write Your Life ebook challenge. So hats off to her. Thank you very much. She is a boss. She knows her stuff. So this sounds like a how-to book.
Yes.
Yes. And you know
Yes.
who your author is. Thanks for the hand clap, Nicholas. You know who your audience is. These are entrepreneurs. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And probably some of them are solopreneurs, but probably not startups. Give me your 5 to 8 key points you want to cover.
You shouldn't do it all yourself, even if you can. The 6 elements of scaling successfully, which will be an overview chapter, and then analyze, eliminate, systematize, delegate, automate, and accelerate.
Whew, I love it. Very organized, very structured. And I would say again, you want to open the book, whether it's in an introduction or a chapter 1. Who are you to be telling me this, right? So you want to establish yourself as credible. You also want to let me know that you've done this for people before, right? I quite frankly, as a reader, I don't care how long you've been doing it. I just want to know that you've done it before. You're not just making this up today. Then I think you would certainly benefit from a structured chapter by chapter formula. How am I going to write each chapter? So you have the delegate, the automate, la, 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 la. But so those are great topics. And even in the table of contents, if that's your table of contents, I'm excited about this book already because I don't even have to read the book to know what you're teaching me, right? And this is all the yummy stuff that every entrepreneur wants anyway. So what you want to do is come up with a structured chapter writing formula. So for each chapter, you may take some of those elements I've talked about already, and you determine what order they go in. You're going to tell a story. Maybe you profile a client or two. You want to define, what does it mean, automate? What does that mean? Like, it should be a no-brainer, but what do you mean by automate, delegate, da, da, da? What do you mean by those things? You define it. And this is more than just a paragraph. This is, you need to explain to me, what is automation? Maybe you go into what it used to be, what it is now, and what's coming, right? Maybe then you talk to me about some, one of the other elements in each chapter could be some resources. Oftentimes we find the resource section in the back of the book. But why make me wait to the back of the book to find out the automation resources or the delegation resources or the organization? Maybe I just need it in that chapter. I need that right now. This sounds
and I
like
love the idea of sending them to the website to get that.
You got it. You got it. Right. So this sounds like the kind of book that I might, but I might not read from cover to cover right now. I may flip to that table of contents and go, oh my God, she's talking about delegation. I've been struggling with that. And you know how people are like, my word for 2021 is delegate, right? And so that may be the chapter I go to right away because I need that right now. And it doesn't mean that I won't get anything from the rest of the book. I'm gonna go back and read all that other stuff later, but I need to delegate right now. So this may not be a cover to cover. I'm not reading a novel, but I'm gonna dig in and get what I need right now. So I think what would benefit you most is to structure how you're going to write each chapter, what elements you will include. Yes, you can send people to your website for resources. You can send them to your website for a quiz. You can send them to your website for your case studies or case stories, right? Maybe you show me one in that chapter, but then you say, for more case stories, go to www.drdenise.com to find out more /resources or whatever it is.
Right.
And I'm sure you will have all of that automated quite well. So those are some of the things you want to do. Think about in the beginning what you want your reader to do when they finish reading your book. This book, they're not even going to get to the end before. Are you ready for your email to blow up?
Right.
Yeah. I do this sometimes when I say people are going to call you. I was talking to somebody the other day and she said, only people like Gen X's and
above. Yeah.
When you talk to a millennial, they're like, this is a phone like this, not this. Anyway, I digress. So I think that if you have a structure for writing your chapters, you have this written like that, and people will know what to expect from each chapter. Okay.
Awesome.
So that
Thank
is
you.
good. I'm going to switch over to my PowerPoint real quick one last time. Those were great ideas, you guys. Love all of them. And what I want to share just to wrap up is a couple of keys to boosting your book's content, which we talked about already. And these are super duper generic, but the one is structure. You got to structure your book because we all have all this knowledge, right? We have all this knowledge, we know all these things. No one wants to read about everything you know. Okay, whether it's your life story, your Jewish culture, your process, they don't want to know everything. You have to structure it to include only the relevant parts of what you want to teach people. And that really relates to understanding what you want people to do, to think, to feel, and to do when they finish reading your book. Answer that question. What do I want my ideal reader to think, to feel, and to do when they finish reading my book? That's going to help you with the structure. You will find at the beginning in that first draft, there's stuff in there. It's going to have to go to the parking lot. Go somewhere else. It doesn't belong in the book. It's too much. It's too jumbled. Get to the point. Okay. That's what people want. They want to get in there, get the information, and get out. So, structure is one key to boosting your book's content. The second one is story. We've talked about that through this whole webinar. Story. You got to tell some stories. People love stories. Tell me a story. That's what they're going to remember. I had a client years ago who published a book on leadership, right? How many books are out there on leadership? But none of them had his keys to leadership. And one of the stories he told was about him taking his dad, who had early onset Alzheimer's. He was basically taking him to this assisted living facility. And he talked about the journey, the car ride to go there, and his dad's reaction. It brought tears to my eyes when we were writing that story. And every time we had a couple of rounds of revisions, every time I read that story, it brought tears to my eyes. He told me, and this was like 5 years ago that he published this book. He recently told me, I interviewed him. He said, even now, when he speaks to audiences and talks to people who've read his book, that's one of the main stories that they remember. That story, the dad story. That's what I call it, the dad story. So if you can make me cry or make me laugh, you got me. Guaranteed, you've got a whole lot of readers who are going to love those particular stories. So structure and story are two essential keys to boosting your book's content and really having an impact on your readers. Okay. So now it's time for some questions. Y'all can ask me whatever you want about book writing, about book publishing. We're going to just take a few more minutes. We're about an hour in, but I'm ready. You can all unmute yourselves if you have a question and just have at it. You got me.
I have a
Ruth
question.
Ann.
Yes. I know that you're talking about the VIP day today. In addition to or separate from that opportunity, and you talk about structure for the book, I think that some people like me need structure in a way that includes accountability and also includes all the steps of not just writing the book, but marketing and publishing and all those things. So do you also have a program that is more like an ongoing throughout the process in addition to or separate from the VIP day?
Great question. Every one of my clients starts with a VIP day. Everything starts with VIP day. Because that really is the foundation, right? It's like, the overdone analogy of taking a trip, a journey. You got to start with, you got to fill up the car, where you going, all that kind of stuff, right? So that's what VIP Day is all about, plus developing some content. From there, I actually do have a couple of other coaching and publishing packages that include things like actually doing some revisions and review of your manuscript. So typically after VIP Day, you go off and you write. Your goal is to fill in the content and get to a complete first draft that includes the framework and the structure that we talked about in VIP Day. From there, depending on how much of me you need, we will come back. I have a package that is VIP day plus a couple of rounds of revisions with your manuscript to get it right, to get it tight, okay, to get it relevant. And then you also, with that package, it is called the Book Your Success package, believe it or not. And it also includes, it's 2 rounds of revisions with me. So you go off and write after VIP day, you bring that manuscript, that first draft, that ugly first draft of your manuscript back to me for revisions. And then I pretend like I'm your 7th grade English teacher and I mark it up. I mean, using Word track changes, you get it back with all this stuff, and most people's feelings are a little bit hurt, but they know it's for the best. You make those changes, get it back to me. We do another round of revisions, and then you get it. And then I guide you through the beta reader process, okay, which is super critical. All of this stuff happens before we take it to the rest of production. So I guide you through the beta reader process, which super valuable. You get my Book Your Success program, which is an online, self-directed, self-paced program that gives you everything else you need if you decide to do the publishing part of it yourself. So here you get to shape your publishing team. You get all my resources, their contact name and everything. Plus you get a ton of marketing strategies, and you get the understanding of what it means to actually publish a book. Right. So most people think, oh, publishing a book is just, writing a Word document and then throwing it up there on Amazon. There's a whole lot of stuff that happens in between there. My focus is always on you having the absolute best content you can create and having the best final product, right? High quality book that we can create. Okay. So that's our Book Your Success program. After that, we have something that's called the bestseller, and that includes everything before your VIP day, those 2 rounds of revisions, guidance on your beta reader process, plus the Book Your Success program. And then the rest of our team comes in to do the copy editing, the cover design, the layout. We'll convert your print book files to ebook files. We handle all the registration for you. My clients are typically not wanting to get like elbow deep in the book publishing process, right? They're too busy for that. They're like, I don't want to know where to go to get my ISBN number. I just want you to do it. I don't want to know how to find a Library of Congress number or I don't know that. It was hard enough to write the book. Now I got to figure out how to upload my files to Amazon. I don't want to do that. So that is our bestseller package. It also includes guidance on and support from us to get you to Amazon #1 bestseller status. So from there, we do some other things. We can do your video book trailer. We have some other packages that offer marketing support, whether it's social media, press release distribution, and some other things. We also have helped authors get on the Wall Street Journal and the USA Today bestseller list. So we have a package and a suite of things. And so what I want you to do if you're interested in any of those is just to email me and let me know what you're interested in. Is it just VIP day? And again, I'm offering you 2 of those, 2 slots in February, 2 slots in March, $3,500. The thing is, you'll get an application link at the end of this webinar. You've got to get it in by February 10th. I will tell you that the fast action bonus for everybody is that the first 5 applications that come in get a free 1-hour consult with me, whether you get accepted to VIP day or not. So get your application in first 5, get a free 1-hour consult with me. Okay. But get it in before the 10th for sure to be considered for one of the 2 sessions available in February and the 2 available in March. Good, Ruth Ann?
Mhm.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Good. Hi, Anita. It's Nicholas here.
Yes.
Please, since Milton and I are writing together, would the VIP day process be different for us?
It would not be different for you. I have done VIP days with, let me see, the most people I've done a VIP day with was like 17. They're writing a collaborative book and it's not quite done yet, but it was an amazing day. But they were all very focused. It was a nonprofit organization. No, VIP day is the same for the 2 of you. Typically there is a little bit of an upcharge for larger groups, but for 2 co-authors, it would be the same. So it's still $3,500 for the 2 of you. and you get the exact same thing one-on-one. We got to get it done, you guys. Yeah. Any other questions?
Great. Thank you.
Milton, you've been real quiet.
I make it a habit of only speaking when I really have something to say. Nicholas's questions were totally in line with mine. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of each other.
Excellent. I love it. Tess, you're quiet. Adina, Milton Hunt, what's going on? You sleep? This is your chance.
I'm here, Anita.
Hello, lovely lady. How you doing?
I'm fine.
Good. Is this more information for you to get started, to get that book going?
Yeah, it is. I answered the questions, but after listening to you speak to other people, I ended up kind of asking myself again, who is truly the book for? Because I had more of a just a general audience. And now I'm kind of like, do I need to be specific about this?
You know, the answer is yes. Don't even ask me that. There's no such thing as a general audience. There's no such thing as a general audience. So, and I love that you said that, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I will say that when people come to me and I ask them, who's your ideal reader? And they say, oh, well, anybody could benefit from my book.
Mhm.
And so I'm not going to roll my eyes right now the way I normally do, but everybody's not going to read your book.
Yes.
They're not. So we in VIP Day get very, very focused on who your ideal reader is, right? It's really, really important for you to know who that person is. And I like to look at it as one person and know that when you profile that one reader, you got to know that there's millions of people just like that. Okay. So that's more VIP Day stuff for you. But yeah, so you can do this. You got ideas, you know what's going on. What I want to do, actually, that I have not done is to acknowledge that handsome fella whose photo is up. His name is Michael Henderson. That's my husband. So everybody say hi to Michael. He is there and he's just kind of being my back support there. And so he has written a book. His book is maybe 7, 8, 9 years. Maybe it's
Got
15.
proof.
Yeah, got proof. You got it. Award-winning book. So super excited about that. And thank you, my love, for being here. Any other questions? Milton Hunt, I saw you in the chat saying that you're just observing and taking notes and you're not asleep. I'm glad you're not asleep. Do you have any questions?
No, I do not. I'd just like to thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom today.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Milton Hunt is a super duper speaker and MC, and he is the man on the stage. And I'm sure you're dying to get back on the actual stage sometime soon. Adina, I got you there, my dear. This has been great. Second time on Zoom. Oh, love it. Thanks for joining. Betty Haney just popped in. Hi, Betty. You missed most of it, but you're going to get the replay. So everybody will get the replay. If I was talking super duper fast, you will you will get that and you can take some more notes. I highly encourage you to go ahead on and submit your application. You will get it in a follow-up email along with the replay. Get it in by the 10th so you can take advantage of one of those available spots for a VIP day. And then I just want to say thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to all of you. Publishing, you can get it done in 2021. This is February, right? We've got all the way till December 31st for you to have a 2021 copyright on your book. And I know you can absolutely do it. Think about the things we talked about today, the ways you can beef up your content. You're not just writing an ebook. Ebook is one format of the book that you're going to write. And I'd love to see you posting and sharing your publishing success with the world. So I'm going to sign off now and say thanks to everybody. I appreciate you. Y'all have a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you,
Bye.
Anita.
Thanks.